You see, that was the genius of Edward Wood. You put a cape on your mouth and you are unrecognizable.
Tim Burton, director of Batman, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands, now takes you to a completely different world. The true story of a Hollywood legend, Ed Wood. He had an eye for talent. He had a passion for storytelling. And he had a secret he couldn't hide. Ed Wood, a Tim Burton film.
Really?
Greetings, everybody in front of the television sets. What I'm about to tell you is an incredible story of how one of the most important motion pictures in the whole Hollywood industry was created. The film was entitled, at the end of the day, Plan 9 from Outer Space, and the story of its creation is stranger than fiction. Trust me, you will not believe your eyes once you have seen how this film was created from scratch, from the very beginning, by a very ambitious director, Edward D. Wood Jr. So without further ado, let's sink our teeth into that incredible, marvelous, but uplifting story of the creation of Plan 9 from Outer Space. Thank you for your attention, and let's stay glued to the TV sets.
For it could be happening right now.
Let the show commence right now. It is I, Bela Lugosi. I played Dracula, Count Dracula, many decades ago, and I'm resurrected from death. I come back from the grave to tell you a magnificent story of how I mean myself, and also Edward Wood, created Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was known as Gravediggers from Outer Space at the beginning, but then the name was changed.
It's science fiction, a heartbreaking romance.
Grave robbers from outer space.
Grave robbers from what?
Trust me, you won't believe your eyes, you won't believe your ears when you hear my account of how the film was created. And I will talk about the film directed by Tim Burton in 1994, about our story, about the story of our lives, and our greatest achievement, the achievement which summed up my career. I command you to watch, I command you to listen to my tale.
Greetings, my friend.
As I am the great, legendary Bela Lugosi from Hungary. This film, which is partially a fictionalized account of the creation and filming of Plan 9 from Outer Space, it's about Edward Wood, Edward D. Wood Jr., who was a fantastic man. He was a man with a plan, with ambitions, and he was a fantastic director, at least in my opinion. I never met him before we started filming our first pictures together, but then he was struggling in Hollywood, trying to get a gig finally as a director, because he had a vision, but no one believed in him. No one wanted to pay the money to finance his projects, his great visions which he had in his mind, somewhere in his brain, and he knew that that was his breakthrough in the business.
Well, Mr. Weiss, look no further. I'm your man. I work fast and I'm a deal. I write and direct, and I'm good. I just did a play in Hollywood, and Victor Crowley himself praised its realism.
However, No one believed in him, he was on his own. But then somehow he stumbled upon me, upon myself. Great Bela Lugosi, known from playing Count Dracula, and Boris Karloff, my biggest enemy. He played Frankenstein, and I never use any profanities, but he was a schmuck. I deserve the recognition, not him. I am Dracula, the original monster. But Edward, he helped me, because at that time I was in my 70s and I was addicted to substances. I couldn't get enough of them. They got the best of me, but he helped me. Thanks to him, I landed one role after another in smaller projects, but very ambitious ones.
What happened?
I didn't feel well.
And thanks to that, we finally managed to gather the funds from some charity, Christian religious organization, a church of something. However, I don't remember because my memory is failing me. You have to remember that, especially for you, I've come back from the grave, because I passed away officially many years ago. But I'm here to tell you again about this great picture directed by Tim Burton, which shows the life story, our life story, how a great piece of cinema was created. Plan 9 from outer space.
You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid!
And despite all the obstacles, despite all the trouble and strife, we managed to film that film, and it premiered, it debuted, and that was the apex of our dreams together. I didn't live long enough to have witnessed it, but I know that Edward D. Wood Jr. must have been satisfied with the outcome.
This is the one.
I command you!
This is the one I'll be remembered for.
I myself, the great Bela Lugosi, know that Edward D. Wood Jr. was a fantastic man. Although he had his problems and trouble, he liked to dress up in dresses and skirts in women's clothes for some reason. It helped him direct the films, so even on the set of our common projects, he was wearing some strange sweaters, typical of women.
I like to wear women's clothes.
But I didn't mind. I didn't mind because I loved being directed by him, such a visionary of the Hollywood industry, which was still pretty fledgling at that time, and it was in development. So that was an honor to have been directed by him, regardless of his shenanigans, regardless of his strange artifacts, of his troubled love relationships with his female partners. That was not my problem.
How long have you been doing this?
Since I was a kid.
Although he was my friend, probably the best friend ever, because he helped me on numerous occasions when I was passing away because of the drug overuse. Apologies for that. I have to admit that I was struggling because before nobody wanted to hire me. The great Bela Lugosi, I was unemployed. I was down on my luck. I didn't have any money, and there was Edward. He popped up out of the blue and he aided me, he helped me. He landed me one role after another and I came back to my glory.
Home. I have no home.
And our magnus opum, Plan 9 from outer space, I will forever be grateful to him for that chance to have participated in that fantastic motion picture which defined the Hollywood industry and redefined it and changed it forever. So everybody knows probably how great of a film that was, or at least it was a very big affair back in the day, and now it has forever entered the annals, the records, the register of the cinema history.
I've never been to a movie premiere before.
Once again, you have to forgive me, but at my age, my memory is fading a little bit. But I presume that having been buried in the ground for so many decades, actually it helped my complexion, because I look as young, as vigorous as ever before. So this is a miracle that I'm back here resurrected from death, from the grave. But I remember that on the set, Edward Wood would never have another take of a scene. For him, every single take was perfect, it was a print, and we could move on. He never repeated anything, even though sometimes some mishaps would happen on the set. Somebody would bump into props, into parts of the decoration. That didn't matter at all, because that was real, that was a part of reality. If somebody bumped into a part of the scenery, they would have bumped into it in real life. So Edward Wood definitely was a strange man, a little bit for many, but to me he was a great friend, and he was a man with spectacular ideas. And he was definitely ahead of his era at that time. Nobody understood his genius, but I did. Ha! The great Bela Lugosi did understand. And that's why our collaboration was so fruitful. And thanks to that, also, you have a chance to witness this film, Ed Wood, a biographical motion picture about us, about Edward D. Wood Jr., and about the great Bela Lugosi, how our cooperation was so fruitful, and despite all the trouble in filmmaking, we did achieve the greatest success ever, which would speak volumes of our lives, of our careers. These are, after so many decades, in the hindsight, if I may say so, I have to praise the director Tim Burton, the director of this picture, Ed Wood, which is very aptly titled.
Perfect. Do you know anything about film production?
Well, I like to think so.
Because he did a magnificent job in projecting onto the viewer, onto ourselves, the loft was the cinema. So it is an uplifting story, because you may be down on your luck, you may be broke like myself. I was broke, completely penniless, I didn't have any money, but...
This business, this town, it chews you up, then spits you out. I'm just an ex-boogeyman.
Thanks to the help and support of the closest ones, so actually my best friend, I've managed to dig myself out of that hole. We all together managed to finally achieve something in our lives. Something which we would be known forever and ever, for the rest of our days, and for the rest of the days, the remaining days of the Hollywood industry per se, as such. So props to the director Tim Burton, because he's also a great visionary. Of course, he's not as good as Edward Wood, that's for sure, but I've never had a chance to meet Tim Burton, but I suspect that he must be a magnificent fella and a great director, because somebody worse than that would have never directed Ed Wood, such a fantastic biographical picture, which may seem on the surface as a nothing extraordinary, especially that it's in black and white, but when you dig deeper into that, you see the love and passion for the cinema industry, and this story is very uplifting. It shows you that you should never, ever give up in your life and chase your dreams, regardless of everything else. So thank you, Tim Burton, for also immortalizing myself, the great Bela Lugosi, in the film industry. Thank you very much.
Beware. Beware.
I know Edward personally, and I also know that Johnny Depp, who was cast as Edward, did a magnificent, splendid job. Not better than the actor playing myself, the great Bela Lugosi, who got the Oscar award for the best role.
And the Oscar goes to... Martin Landau and Ed Wood.
But it is also a very good performance, and albeit low key because he's in the background, although he's the protagonist. But I mean the great Bela Lugosi, and the person portraying me, Martin Landau, steals the show, that's for sure, and I'm thankful to Martin Landau for having portrayed me in such a marvelous way. But there is one thing which I can't condone, and the use of profanities.
Karloff does not deserve to smell my shit!
In my life, I was known for not having used any profanities, any foul language. I was always a gentleman, or I could say I have always been, because I'm back. I've been resurrected from death, especially for you, to praise this film, because I can't get enough of it. I can't believe how great it is. It may be on a par with Plan 9 from Outer Space, although it's a completely different genre, but the passion, the love towards the cinema is still there, and the production values. You know how great Plan 9 from Outer Space was, the decorations, the special effects, the props, the performances, it was there. And Ed Wood is also as glorious as Plan 9 from Outer Space in terms of that, in terms of the grandeur and the panache and the love and effort put into the project. So I can't praise this film enough.
Oh, geez, honey, I'm so happy for you.
I don't know how it's possible that I had to be resurrected in 2023 to finally see this film for the first time. Although the film is from 1994, I don't get it, I don't understand it, but it finally did happen, and I'm glad it did, because I would have missed on a great opportunity to having seen a great film otherwise. So I'm glad that somehow the constellation of the stars, they made me reappear and finally experience this great piece of cinema making, filmmaking on my own, and especially in this pristine quality, black and white picture quality. Thank you very much. Thank you, oh fate, thank you that you commanded me to watch Ed Wood by Tim Burton. In my heyday, during the prime of my career, the only source of the films were the cinemas. I don't understand this. What it is, this contraption here, the blue packaging, I don't get it. But I still trust my eyes, despite age, and what I can see is a fantastic, immaculate picture quality, and I don't know what this Blu-ray means, what it stands for, but I can see that everything is so sharp, it can't have been sharper on a film reel, and I remember the films Dracula, Frankenstein and other ones projected on the reel, the film reel.
Well, go knock 'em dead.
You could say I use a reel, and the picture was grainy there, and it's grainy here too, but it's so natural. You can see the great Bela Lugosi right here, played by Martin Landau, and I can recognize my facial features in this man. And Johnny Depp, all the details, they are there. So what are you waiting for? I command you to purchase this Blu-ray release of Ed Wood. There is nothing to wait for. Time is a waste. Trust me, your days are counted. All of our days are counted. Sooner or later, spoiler alert, everybody dies. And nobody will be as lucky as myself to have been resurrected from the grave. Alas.
Too constrictive. I can't even fold my arms.
Gee, Mr. Lugosi, I've never had any complaints.
This is the most uncomfortable coffin I've ever been in.
So please take this opportunity and give this motion picture a chance. And it was shot in black and white on purpose, just to synchronize with the films from that era. And I think that that was the great call on the side, on the end of Tim Burton, that he decided to stick to this monochromatic tones, the black and white picture. Because this is what the pictures looked like back in the day, when it was the apex of my career. So I'm grateful for this release. Like I said, I don't know these devices, the contraptions, I don't know how they work. Maybe it's the work of the devil, but it works. And it looks like a real life scene from a real life, like I would have seen it with my own eyes. So I think that this is the best recommendation I could give to you. Don't you think so, my friends? Please grab a copy of Ed Wood on Blu-ray. I command you, I order you, I urge you to do so.
That will conquer the world!
What is worth mentioning is that Martin Landau, the actor portraying the great Bela Lugosi myself, even in the scene he's featured here, he never wanted to deliver an over-the-top performance. Whatever it means, I have no idea. In my life, I never created a dramatical performance. I never delivered something like that. It was always true. It was never overly dramatic. And he does a magnificent job nonetheless. And in this scene, our friend from the set, I remember that in a second he will bump into the door. He will try to leave the room, but he will just bump into the decoration. But that was nothing to worry about. I remember that Ed Wood could keep his cool and he would tell him just to continue. You see, he bumped into the decoration just like that. But it was okay. That was a wrap, that was a print, and we could move on. So that was a mark of a professional behind the camera, that he clearly knew what he was doing. No second takes, no repetitions, just moving on with the flow. That's what I love about good old Ed, that he just knew how to direct us.
And cut. Brent, we're moving on. That was perfect.
Perfect.
And no repetitions, no wasting of the film reel, no additional material superfluous. Everything was as close to reality as possible. And these are the makings of a fantastic director. Like Tim Burton, chapeau bas, Tim Burton for this motion picture, but I think that you must have been inspired by the great Ed Wood, almost as great as the great, the legendary Bela Lugosi. Reportedly, this very young actor Johnny Depp, who portrayed my good friend Edward Wood, was depressed at the time of making this film because he was going through a divorce or a separation, or he just split up with Winona Ryder and he lost his passion towards the film industry. However, when he heard about this project from Tim Burton, his friend, he agreed to do it just in 10 minutes. That was a spur of the moment decision, and actually working on that film with Martin Landau, it rejuvenated his love towards the filmmaking. He found his flame again. And I've been there, I've done that. I remember how it is to hit rock bottom, to be on the rocks, to be without any fate, without any perspectives, any prospects. But you just need to have people close to you who will help you, like they helped, or actually he did. Edward Wood helped the great Bela Lugosi in finding the passion, in finding employment in the business, and in starring in one of the greatest, most renowned motion pictures ever, the legendary Plan 9 from Outer Space. So I will forever be grateful to him for that. During my acting career, I never saw eye to eye with film critics. Although in this case they were right, because they praised the film. It got so much acclaim, so many good ratings and scores. From Roger Ebert, I think 3.5 stars out of 4, and on this IMDb thing, whatever it is, it has the score of 7.8 out of 10, and on the Rotten Tomatoes website aggregate, whatever it is, also it has a very good average rating, but I will never understand the public, the audience, because the film was pretty costly. It cost around $80 million, but it grossed only around $5-something million. How come? I will never get it. In my career I had many successful pictures, great performances, and some of them also they were not successful with the audience. They just couldn't appreciate art. And in this case, the mainstream audience couldn't appreciate the art, what real art is either, because they ignored the film at the cinema. Is it because it was black and white? This is stupid, this is foolish. I can't wrap my head around it, how foolish the audience may be sometimes. But on the other hand, it is thanks to them that we are on top of the world. So sometimes fate can be a very ungrateful lover, and that was the case. But later on, the film got many awards, many nominations, and Martin Landau got the Oscar statuette for the best performance. So I think that was the consolation prize, and right now the film is the stuff of legends. Just the same way as Plan 9 from Outer Space is. I hope for the same reasons, for all the good reasons, but you will be the one to judge, you will be the one to tell. If you decide to watch Ed Wood, and I hope you will, because it shows the passion, the love towards the cinema industry, towards filmmaking, and it's an uplifting, motivational story. What more do you want me to say? What more do you want to hear from me? Just give this film a go. Have you not seen it? This is my final recommendation. Please heed my warning and my recommendation. Ed Wood is a remarkable piece of cinema, worth seeing for all ages. And you know, thanks to this film, that you can't give up, you can never give up in life. You have to chase and pursue your dreams. I only know that poor Edward had to finish the film without my participation, and this is because this doctor who portrayed me had to cover his face, because he looked like me, but his jaw wasn't like that, and he was young, so he would cover his face with a cape, like a real vampire would, like an alien, like a Dracula. So that was a great homage to myself, to the great Bela Lugosi, and I think that was a fantastic performance by him. You see, that was the genius of Edward Wood. You put a cape on your mouth and you are unrecognizable. You can be anybody you want, and that person, that doctor, played me very well. But still, there is a lot of material with myself featured there.
Be sure and keep your face covered.
So it was me starring in that final film after all, and that was a great tribute, that was a great homage paid by Edward to myself. I'm grateful to you for that, my friend.
Now, Dracula, that's a role that requires talent.
Of course, Dracula requires presence. It's all...
Thank you very much for your attention, for having listened to the great Bela Lugosi coming back from grave and praising Ed Wood, the film from 1994. I hope that you have enjoyed my performance, my show, my spectacle. If you have liked it, please like this clip. Please show me some love and appreciation. Please comment on it. Please comment on this great biopic. Please comment on my career, on the performances, on Johnny Depp and Martin Landau, on Tim Burton as the director of this film. Please also recommend this clip, my take on this film, to others, to your friends, to everybody. And if you are not a member of this channel, whatever it is, please subscribe. I beg of you, please do. For crying out loud, please do. I've come back from grave for you. And please remember to give Ed Wood a chance, the film and also the director, because if by some miracle you have not seen Plan 9 from Outer Space, I can guarantee you that it's worth checking out, it's worth seeing, that's for sure. Whether for good reasons or bad, I believe that this is a masterpiece, but this is just me because I starred in it. So once again, thank you very much, my great audience, my great spectators, for having devoted your time to my take on it, on the film, on my opinion, and I hope to see you next time by some miracle. Thank you, and I'll be going back to my deep sleep now. What you have witnessed right now, my friends, is a fantastic, incredible account of how Plan 9 from Outer Space was created and shot. And it is stranger than fiction, but I can guarantee you that most of it is true. And it shows Edward D. Wood Jr. as a great, passionate, misunderstood cinema aficionado who just had a vision, and he would not hesitate from putting it into effect, from realizing his life dream. And this is what happened, and this is also a story of his unusual friendship with the great Bela Lugosi. So I hope that you have enjoyed this little story, and I hope that you will decide to watch Edward Wood, because this is what true filmmaking is about. So the film may be a little bit long in the tooth, since it's from 1994. Nonetheless, it's worth watching, and it's worth experiencing. That will be all, my friends. Thank you very much. I hope that you have enjoyed this unusual, remarkable, incredible story of the creation of Plan 9 from Outer Space, and I hope that you will decide to come back to this channel. Thank you very much.
What do you think you're doing? I'm directing.
To my tale, as I'm